Welcome to this session on the fetter clinging to rites and rituals, Sri Mentri. In this presentation, I shall discuss the fetter clinging to rites and rituals in detail. Sri Mentri is the first stage of enlightenment, and to become a Sri Mentor, one must abandon three fetters at once, and they are self-view, clinging to rites and rituals, skeptical doubt about Buddha and his teachings. A Sri Mentor abandons these three fetters at once. For example, one who realizes that there is no permanent being also realizes that it is meaningless to clinging to social practices, as there is no permanent being who belonging to a particular society or any society at all, so meaningless to clinging to such practices, and this knowledge comes due to Buddha and his teachings. Buddha and his teachings allow one to gain realization by abandoning these three fetters at once to become a Sri Mentor. Rites and rituals would also include any attachment to precepts and practices. The teachings of Buddha is not new, in the sense there is nothing new to discover, as the teachings has been well proclaimed by the Buddha after discovering the teachings by himself. Having discovered the teachings by himself, Buddha has passed his teaching to his disciples, and his disciples have tested the path and verified by gaining the fruition to become an Arahant over the past centuries. A quotation taken from this Nagara Sutta displays, in the same way I saw an ancient path, an ancient route traveled by fully awakened Buddhas in the past. And what is that ancient path? The ancient road traveled by fully awakened Buddhas in the past. It is simply this noble Eightfold Path. Given that there are many divisions, traditions, schools, and contemporary practices, perhaps it would benefit the practitioners who want to gain realization will question what is the right practice that allows them to gain realization, and try and practice in a certain way, and if such a practice will not allow them to gain realization, and seek out alternate ways that allows them to gain realization. In this session, we shall speak about how to train one's mind in a way leading to Sri Mentri from the perspective of rites and rituals. Because this is an ancient teaching and path, very many people have contributed to preserve the teachings of Buddha for what it is today, and having acknowledged their contribution, there is also a need to emphasize and discuss the training path leading to Nibbana across these four stages. Those disciples of Buddha who have become Arahant will have comprehended the teachings and the path in full. And the path is, there is a unified path, and that is the noble path leading to Nibbana. Transition from ordinary state to noble state happens due to one's realization, and this is different from social standard, where one may become a monastic only due to rites and rituals. This means, according to Buddha, realization happens despite traditions or rites and rituals. And this also indicates a person who becomes a Sri Mentor becomes an open-minded person who is not restricted to standard social practices, but a liberated person from such practices. Noble person is the Sangha or disciples of Buddha. Those fetters are abandoned by a Sri Mentor comes to enjoy total freedom. Sense of being restricted to self is abandoned, along with the sense of being restricted to social practices. And thus the liberation experienced by those who gain realization is matchless and precious experience, as we see in the quotation taken from this discourse, Ratana Sutta. Those who are well-trained, freed from all defilement, and with the mind firm in Gautam Buddha's training, upon attaining Nibbana, they plunge into the deathless, freely enjoying the liberation they have gained. In the noble Sangha is this precious jewel. In total, there are 10 fetters, including 5 lower fetters and 5 higher fetters. A Sri Mantra abundance, self-identity with uncertainty about Buddha and his teachings, grasping at precepts and practices. This is to indicate that to become a Sri Mantra, it may be useful to maintain some precepts based on one's personal preference. Perhaps it may be 5 precepts, 10 precepts, or more training rules. And once after becoming a Sri Mantra, there is no need to take precepts any longer. This is because one comes to maintain noble virtues that comes to establish due to right view. As indicated in Siddhartha Sutta, the purpose of cultivating precepts or lifestyle is to abandon unskillful qualities and to become a perfected one. So even if someone lives a spiritual lifestyle, take precepts, but do not come to develop skillful qualities to become a perfected one. Following such training, that would mean the practice is not serving any meaningful purpose, as until one becomes a Sri Mantra or beyond, there is always a possibility that the practice does not come into stability, and also because there is a danger of going in the process of samsara. As a quotation of Siddhartha Sutta indicates, take the case of someone who cultivates precepts and observances, a lifestyle, and a spiritual path, taking this as the essence. If the unskillful qualities grow while skillful qualities decline, that's not fruitful. However, if unskillful qualities decline while skillful qualities grow, that is fruitful. Also, it means that one can train in any way suitable for oneself based on personal preference and choices. The amount of sila does not really contribute to gaining right view, as long as the amount of sila one observes allows one to develop skillful qualities to become a person of noble character. The rest of the things, what lifestyle, what robes, what alms food one eat, is not contributory factors to gain realization. This also means a person is provided with a greater freedom to select the kind of practice and the lifestyle based on one's own preference. As a quotation of this sutta indicates, so this is how I understand the detailed meaning of the Buddha's brief statement. I say that there are 2 kinds of robes: alms food, lodging, village, town, city, country, person, that which you should cultivate and that which you should not cultivate. That's what the Buddha said. But why did he say it? You should not cultivate the kind of person, robes, alms food, lodging, village, town, city, country, person, who causes unskillful qualities to grow while skillful qualities decline. And you should cultivate any kind of robes, alms food, lodging, village, town, city, country, and person that allows you to develop skillful qualities. It may be that someone chooses to train more than 150 training rules. It may be that someone chooses to train based on 5 precepts or 8 precepts, perhaps 10 precepts, or perhaps 8 precepts with right livelihood. This is what is needed at the preliminary stage to become a stream mentor. However, it is simply not enough just to take these precepts and stay there without any further development. What is needed is to move from the state of taking precepts into the state of noble virtues where one comes to establish due to right view. This is also because practicing does not make much sense, as the practice does not come to establish with stability until one comes to establish noble virtues by transiting from the state of taking precepts of any kind, 5, 8 precepts, 10 precepts, or whatsoever, moving from that state to coming to establish noble virtues by becoming a stream mentor. It may be useful to consider taking 8 precepts with right living at the preliminary stage to become a stream mentor, and it may be useful to consider 10 courses of wholesome action, especially that it also includes developing non-covetousness to get rid of unselfishness, and also developing goodwill, and also developing right view. Right view itself is what a stream mentor gains. And so practicing the 10 courses of wholesome actions are beneficial to gain the right view to become a stream mentor. Once again, the key point is such that developing and maintaining precepts are needed only until one comes to establish right view to become a stream mentor, and therefore there is a need to move from the state of taking precepts or training rules to establish noble virtues to move further in the path leading to stream entry and beyond. This is also because precepts can be broken and noble virtues cannot be broken, and they are stable. This also explains why until one becomes a stream mentor, practice cannot guarantee one will be reborn in good planes of existence with stability, and so therefore need to emphasize the importance of gaining the right view to become a stream mentor. As a quotation taken from this discourse shows, a person undertaking holy vows goes high and low, they waver fetters by conditional perceptions, but one who has learned well and the Dhamma penetrated goes not up and down, that one of wisdom profound. Right view, meaning understanding that self-view is the cause of all suffering, and self-view is the cause for clinging to things. Noble virtues comes to establish along with the 4 factors of stream entry, which are perfect confidence of Buddha, his teachings, and noble Sangha, as we see in this discourse or sutta. In other words, to establish noble virtues, one should try and develop these 4 factors of stream entry by recollecting the virtues of Buddha and his teachings, and also by trying to be a good person. And another way could also mean one could try and observe one's mind and reflect how thoughts and come and go to develop the non-self view. The practice is the key to gain realization, and we shall talk further about how one can go about practicing in a way leading to stream entry as we go further along this presentation. A stream enterer abandoned 3 fetters and their identity view, attachment to rites and rituals, and doubt about Buddha and his teachings. And so there is a need to combine various kinds of practices to get rid of these 3 fetters at once in order to abandon identity identity view, it is beneficial to try and think daily life experience from Dhamma's point of view, and also trying and bringing the mind into a middle path. That means mind that is not shaken by ups and downs. That means whenever one encounters a bad experience in day-to-day life, try and not to be too much sad, and thereafter when one experiences good thing, trying and not to be too much happy, and in doing so trying to establish mind in the middle way, at the same time trying and not allowing to be regretting over things that happens in the past, as well as trying not to have too much expectations for future. And this way, keeping a mind in the middle way is helpful practice to abandon identity view. To abandon attachment to rite and rituals, it is beneficial if someone can train their mind in a way that allows one to think opposite standard social practices. Let us briefly take a couple of examples. For example, let's say in a particular society, majority of people may be thinking that when someone being poor is too bad, and perhaps let's say there is actually a person who is experiencing poverty and cannot help himself or herself, and at that point, if that individual can try and reflect that being poverty is not too bad comparable to the worst that what could be is to reborn in the process of samsara, this could be a beneficial way to think. Similarly, it may be that in a particular society, people are encouraging to think that it is essential to gain socially accepted ordination to become a noble disciple of Buddha. And if someone can think opposite direction and think that irrespective of the kind of social practices, it is by developing one's mind and developing true qualities to develop a noble character that one can become a noble disciple of Buddha. So these kind of ways that are opposite to social standard allows one to train mind to see beyond and accept beyond socially accepted practices is beneficial to abandon attachment to rite and rituals. Regarding doubts about the Buddha and his teachings, try and finding where one can find Buddha's pure form of teaching will allow one to understand Buddha's teachings to abandon all these three fetters at once. Right view is the first of the 8 path factors in the Noble Eightfold Path and belonging to the wisdom division of the path. Right view itself allows one to become a stream mentor. And so therefore, Sila is secondary and helpful to gain realization, but Sila alone is not sufficient. What is much needed is the wise reflection and the wisdom. So therefore there is a need to emphasize more on wise reflection. So for those individuals who are able to reflect daily life experience from Buddha's point of view in a wise manner, they will be able to make a transition from simply taking precepts into moving to maintaining noble virtues based on right view. So there is a need to emphasize more on developing wisdom. Wrong view is non-Dhamma, right view is the Dhamma. One who becomes a stream mentor is the one who understands Buddha's teachings and the one who maintains the right view. Purpose of Sila is to help gain realization, as we see in this discourse. Purification of ethics is only for the sake of purification of mind. Purification of mind is only for the sake of purification of view. Purification of view is only for the sake of purification through overcoming doubt to become a stream mentor, and so on. So in the end, purification of ethics is simply for the sake of extinguishment by not grasping. Noble standards and social standards are different. Social standards respect traditions in general, whereas noble standards respect purity. As we see in Ina Sutta, just so in the noble one's discipline, one whose faith is firm, who is endowed with shame, dreading wrong, wise and restrained by virtuous behavior, is said to live happily in the noble one's discipline. Having gained spiritual happiness, one that resolves on equanimity. A little baby doesn't even have a concept of precepts, so how could misapprehension of precepts and observances possibly arise in them? Yet the underlying tendency to misapprehension of precepts and observances still lies within them. Precepts are useful to become a stream enterer, but thinking precepts alone will purify oneself is a misunderstanding, as it is the root of non-self-view. That means to gain by abandoning identity view, to eradicate unskillful qualities. Further, as we see in this discourse, root need to be abandoned permanently, not just temporary precepts. And there is a need to move further from the state of taking precepts to establish noble virtues that comes due to right view. As we see here, I do not say that all Samanas and Brahmas or Nanda, so said Bhagavat, are shrouded by birth and old age, those who after living in this world, what has been seen or heard or thought, and all virtue and holy works after living everything of various kinds after penetrating desire, are free from passion. Such indeed I call men that have crossed the stream. This means giving up precepts to gaining right view. One comes to abandon passion and gain purity. Also, noble standards and social standards are different. Practice and realization what matters to noble standards, and rites and rituals are seen with less importance and not really contributory factors. A quotation taken from this discourse shows, imagine that just by wearing an outer robe, someone with covetousness, ill will, irritability, hostility, and so on could give up the kind of bad qualities. Then that would make sense to appreciate simply external qualities, but it is simply by abandoning the kind of bad qualities internally that one comes to establish purity. And so therefore the need to emphasize the fact that purity should come from internally and the external factors are not contributory factors. Whoever crossed all the mud pit of sense desires that are abandoned by an anagami, this is of course not, sense desires are not abandoned due to precepts, but here what it means to say sense desires abandoned by an anagami due to abandoning non-self-view at the state of stream entry, crush the tone of sense pleasure and destroy delusion, has attained nibbana. He is not agitated by pain or pleasure, he is called a monk. As we see across various suttas and also in Dhammapada verses, so the importance given to external factors are less, but what is needed is to emphasize more on purifying oneself internally. What is also interesting and important to note about Buddha's teaching is that a is achieved through psychological homelessness, because world is created in one's mind, and so that it means detachment should also come within psychologically. Realization itself is what makes one a noble person despite external factors, and Buddha's teachings encourage one to have an open mindset, to think beyond standard social practices, rites and rituals, and precepts. This also indicates the teachings are open to all. As we see here, to pickpockets attain Sotapanna fruition, what they wore, what they ate did not matter or contribute to them gaining realization. Gaining right view is the key, as the right view is auspicious and the view itself allows to develop the Noble Eightfold Path in the right way to gain realization across the 4 stages of enlightenment. Then the question would be, how can one practice in a way leading to gain the right view to become a Sri mentor? Reflecting on non-self view in daily life, such as so that when one encounters daily life experience which can be really bad, let us say extreme event of a death or accident or illness, if one can try and think that this is also part of life and this is the reality and come to accept as it is, and then try and maintain a mindset that is not too much sad when really bad things happen, and also try and see even the good things in life are short-lived, and in doing so trying and bringing mind to the middle state. That means not too much sad, not too much happy, and maintaining in the middle is beneficial to abandon the identity view. Similarly, try not to regret our past and trying and not to have too much expectations in the future, as when expectations fail, there comes disappointment, and in order to abandon that, it is beneficial to try and maintain a stable mind in the present moment as much as possible, and along the same time, try not to be restricted because of social practices, to see beyond standard social practices, and to be a free person of self-view, and also to be free of all kind of standard restrictions that are being placed by the society, to be a free person and to think more freely in a liberal manner is helpful to develop right view. At the same time, try and be a good person and try and maintain a productive life by developing learning or skillful in handicraft and discipline, looking after family and developing good qualities, generousness, rigorous conduct, and of course trying and maintain gentle in speech, being humble, try and be happy, and try to be happy with whatever one has, and try to be not burdened with duties, and try and reflect more and more life experience from Dhamma and applying Dhamma in daily life into one's practice and train one's mind in this kind of ways of thinking is what allows one to develop right view to gain stream entry. Along the same time, in order to establish noble virtues, it is beneficial if one can treat others as the way one would like to be treated, as we see in this quotation taken from this sutta. What is the Dhamma lesson that should be applied to oneself? A noble disciple reflects this way: I want to live and don't want to die. I want to be happy and I dislike pain. Since this is so, if someone were to take my life, I wouldn't like that. But others also want to live and don't want to die. They want to be happy and dislike pain. So if I were to take the life of someone else, he wouldn't like that either. The thing that is disliked by me is also disliked by others. Since I dislike this thing, how can I give that pain to someone else? Reflecting this way, trying and treating others as the way you would like to be treated yourself is beneficial to develop noble virtues. Similarly, trying and develop the four factors of stream entry, which are the perfect confidence of Buddha, and this can be gained by reflecting the virtues of Buddha such that the blessed one is perfected, a fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy, knower of the world, supreme guide for those who wish to train, awaken, bless. This kind of reflecting on the virtues of Buddha is helpful to develop experiential confidence of Buddha, and thereafter reflecting upon the teachings of Buddha and Noble Sangha is beneficial to develop confidence in teachings and Noble Sangha. To summarize once again, trying and keeping mind in the middle in daily life, in practice, and trying and living in the present moment as much as possible, being aware of one's thoughts and trying to think such thoughts are not self, and also trying to be not sad when really experience sad things in life, and trying to be not too much happy and not to regret of past and not too much expecting future, and trying to be happy as much as possible in the present moment. In this kind of practice is helpful to gain stream entry, along the same time reflecting Buddha and his teachings and the Noble Sangha, and also trying and being a good person to oneself and treat others as the way one would likely to be treated. And also, essentially, trying to be an open-minded person who can see beyond socially accepted practices are helpful to develop right view to become a stream mentor. This is the end of this presentation. Thank you very much.